The damage to Galveston has been fairly extensive. Water supply and electricity probably went down much more severely than anybody anticipated.
I've heard that there was water on the first floor of maybe all the buildings at the university. They lost all power. They've lost emergency power in some of the buildings. At one time, there were no elevators running.
Initially, the idea was to ride out the storm. But as the storm started turning and it became clearer that it was going to hit Galveston, then the order came that we had to evacuate the patients. The question was where?
We were notified Thursday morning about patients going to be evacuated from John Seeley Hospital in Galveston, and that we would be receiving some of those patients here at Seton. They took 90 patients between here and Seton Northwest, which is a phenomenal number of patients to try and absorb in a very short period of time.
Well, in Galveston, we started a few days before this storm Ike arrived. We started a liver transplant program in a transplant center that is already performing many other transplants. And we had 2 patients that were transplanted only a few days prior to the arrival of the storm. So, of course, these were very fragile patients, just transplanted with one of the biggest transplants that you can do today.
And that's when I found out he was going to be here in Austin. I freaked out because I knew he didn't know what was going on. He was all sedated and all that.
About him.
And when I got here, I saw Dr. Thomas, and I'm like, wow, what a blessing. To have your physician fly with you, this was great.
There was just about enough place for him and all his monitoring equipment and the IV fluids and all of that in one helicopter, and the other patient followed in the next helicopter. So basically two helicopters flew from Galveston to Austin, and what would happen on the flight, we didn't have all the monitoring equipment, so we had to literally shut off some of the medicines that were continuously being infused at the ICU in Galveston. And what would happen when we shut those medicines off, nobody really knew. So it was risky. The other problem with liver transplant patients is that they're at risk for bleeding, and especially when they're so close to having completed the operation. So that was another fear, that they may start bleeding on the flight. We had blood and blood products ready, but even giving all these things in a cramped space like that can be difficult. So although we were very apprehensive, the life flight crews had probably more experience in this sort of thing than we had. But to be frank, even for them, it was not a routine thing.
Mr. Ayala is the patient that we transplant, the second patient transplanted, so the one that was closer to the time of transplant when we moved him out of the island. And he's the one that was a little bit more unstable at that time because the transplant was very recent.
We don't do liver transplants here in Austin. We do heart transplants and we do kidney transplants. So we have some experience with transplant patients, but liver transplant patients are totally different, and nobody here has the expertise on how to take care of those patients. The complications, side effects, just things to look for, we're ignorant, wouldn't even know what to look for. And it was, I can't tell you, it would have been very dire for those patients without having people here that had experience and knew those patients, like Dr. Thomas and the rest of the team that came in, and that was an incredible resource to have them here.
That's my doctor right there. These doctors can't believe it, that I'm already up and walking around. Here it is with a liver transplant, and I'm already going to the restroom on myself, eating and drinking. Man, I mean, I'm really blessed.
And then we had a big team of people working with you and having great success.
I don't remember nothing.
We were there for you.
Yeah, that's the hero right there. That's my hero.
The way the Seton family of hospitals responded to this emergency in Austin was something amazing.
What we're trying to do now is find a temporary place to take all of our transplant programs, and we believe that we're going to be able to work out an agreement with UT Houston to open a clinic there to follow all of our transplant patients that we've operated upon in the past. As you know, in 1900 there was a devastating storm in Galveston, and at that time the chairman of the Board of Regents of the University of Texas system sent a telegram saying that the University of Texas stops for no storm, and we're certainly not stopping for it in 2008 either.